So, hi and welcome back. And I'm I've been off kind of, when I say off for a week, I've had a bit of a stinking cough and cold. So I've not been out with any of the cameras and taking any films. I've got loads of film, which has been, gratefully received from a viewer. And I will be out. I've got a review to do of a film, but I haven't done yet. So that's to come as well. But I was just sitting thinking about some of the things I've been seeing online about medium format cameras and how we used to work, how uh, I would use a medium format camera, and about the use of them today. And the first thing that comes to mind was I never owned a Hasselblad. In fact, I think I only ever once even looked for a viewfinder, and that was hugely disappointing. The viewfinders were so dark and dull. Now I could be wrong. I don't know for sure because I never used one, but I just wanted to go through a few experiences and stuff. And it's like that poser value now with film cameras. It's like, it has to be that Leica, it has to be that Hasselblad, it has to be the RZ67, and they were working professional cameras. Simple as that. That's what they were used for, especially the RZ. I never saw one outside a studio. They were always used in big studios. They were quite often used in like the drive-in studios where they used to have cars come in and stuff, and that sort of thing. And they weren't necessarily used outside. I mean, they are so heavy. The Bronicas were mainly used in, when I saw, were mainly used in portrait studios, and they were used, literally to do family portraits and things. And you seldom saw them go out of the studio either, and other than things like wedding photography. And it's like, what is the reasoning behind people buying these cameras when they were made for a specific purpose? Unlike the 35 mils, they had the professional cameras, and they also had the amateur pro, and then the amateur cameras and stuff like that. The medium formats were really mostly for professional photographers, other than a few I'm going to mention anyway, and you'll see pictures of as well. So I used an RB67 at a wedding, and it was the worst day of my life. The actual camera was damaged, and I didn't take one shot. So that kind of didn't work well for me. Anyway, so that's just one example. I've used the RZs and RBs quite a few times. I actually, on my original medium format camera, was a Bronica ETRS with I think it was called an AE Prism 2, which had a light meter on, and it basically made it so you could tip it on its side and do landscape and portrait. Because if you didn't have a prism, they were really hard to work because you only had the landscape, and it was kind of weird how you had to stand if you wanted to do a portrait shot. So I had one of those, and it was my workhorse for weddings, workhorse for portraits, for taking photographs of animals and cats like that in the studio, those sorts of things. And a few years later, I ended up having what was the next one I had? I had an SQB, a Bronica SQB. Again, that was used for weddings, for portraits. And when I worked for Sainsbury's many years ago, and I used the SQB. People knew me there as Jason the photographer, so I would be always called in to do the family portraits and stuff with my studio lights and that sort of thing. I also bought one Yashica Mat 124G, and they're lovely cameras. And again, they've been overpriced. The prices have been floating around so expensive, and it's like, do they have that value? Are they worth that to somebody? What's the reasoning behind you having a particular camera? Now, I also remember things like the Lubitel. Was it 166 or something? 166, something like that. I'll show a picture of one on the screen. And there was also the Seagulls. There were another one, and I went into the shop and I asked about them, and the guys behind the desk said to me, "I've actually never seen one that worked properly or worked for more than a week, so don't buy one." Now, I don't know, people probably have Seagulls and use them and be happy with them, but I'm just like questioning, why is it so important for someone to have a particular camera, especially when the Veronicas are so much were back in the day, they were so much cheaper than the Hasselblads. I think they were at least sometimes at half the price. And when I had my SQB, I'd seen some photographs that were done on a Hasselblad, and then I read an article on they were testing Hasselblad lenses against Veronica ones, and the standard, I think it was 75mm, 80mm lens, the Veronica always won hands down. So that's what you're looking for, aren't you? You're looking for the quality. However, I mean, of course, Hasselblads have the most amazing tradition, the making of them, the craftsmanship in them, just simply amazing. You're paying as much for that. But the question I'm asking myself today is, if I had a medium format camera now, and the fact I don't have one, and I'm trying to think, well, would I bother because of the price of the film and the developing costs of stuff like that? Would I have one, and which one would it be? And I think if I had the chance of having another one, it would probably be a Bronica ETRSI, or something of that ilk, because I just love the 645 format. It was just fantastic and used to get some most amazing results. I'm sorry I've not been able to bring you like a proper video today, but don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in a video perhaps midweek with some film and stuff like that. Thanks.